it costs to fall apart. A story in blood and moths. The curandera told me the moths would come when my body remembered what my mind refused to know. They arrived on the third night after Mama died, though she had been dead for 7 years already. Time moves differently when you carry death inside you like a second skeleton. I woke to find them clustered on my ceiling, black-winged mariposas nocturnas with eyes like drops of mercury, their wings painted with skull patterns that seemed to shift in the darkness. La Catrina's children come to collect. I counted them, 43. One for each bone she broke in me before I learned to break myself first. In Oaxaca, they say the dead return during Dia de Muertos to feast on marigold petals and memory. But some dead never leave. They nest in your ribcage, build altars from your vertebrae, burn copal incense in the hollows where your heart should be. Mama had been building her shrine inside me since I was 6 years old, when she first taught me that love could taste like copper and salt. The moths began to feed. Aye, the curandera's shop smelled of sage and rot. She was ancient, skin like crumpled papel picado, eyes black as obsidian blades. On her altar, photographs of the missing, dried hummingbirds suspended in formaldehyde, a saint's statue weeping genuine tears of blood that collected in a Coca-Cola bottle cap. You want them gone, she said, not a question. Her fingers moved across my scalp, finding the soft places where the moths had laid their eggs. I felt them there, pulsing beneath my skin like secrets. Yes, to remove them is to remove the parts of you they nest in, the parts she damaged. You understand? You will have to unmake yourself. She pulled out a leather roll of tools, scalpels made from volcanic glass, needles carved from human bone, threads spun from hair of the hanged. The Aztecs knew. Zyptotec, the flayed one, shed his skin to bring new growth. Sometimes we must peel ourselves to survive. I thought of Mama's hands, how they could braid my hair with such tenderness in the morning, then use that same braid to pull me down the stairs by evening. How she would kiss my forehead as she locked me in the closet. How she whispered "Ti quiero," while her cigarette found the soft flesh of my inner arm, teaching me that scars are just another kind of souvenir. What's the cost? She smiled, revealing teeth filed to points, inlaid with turquoise like ancient priestesses. The same cost it always is, Mija. Blood, memory, the person you were before you learned to be afraid. Aye. The ritual began at midnight, when the veil between worlds grows thin as cigarette paper. She laid me on an altar of volcanic stone, cold as childhood memory. Above us, the ceiling was alive with murals, Kotlikue, the earth goddess draped in human hands and hearts, Miklantekutli grinning his skeletal grin, Tlazolteotl, the filth eater, who devours sins and excrement alike. The curandera began to chant in Nahuatl, words old as blood sacrifice, old as the first mother who loved her child with fists instead of hands. She painted my body with cinnabar and ashes, drew maps of trauma on my skin here Mama dislocated my shoulder, there where she cracked my ribs, across my throat, where her fingers taught me silence. The moths are not the disease, she whispered, lifting the obsidian blade. They are the symptom. They feed on dead tissue, on the parts of you that have been rotting since you were Pequenia. We must cut away the necrosis. The first incision opened my left palm, where I had learned to catch Mama's slaps. Blood welled up black in the candlelight, and with it came the moths, dozens of them, pouring from the wound like dark prayers. They were larvae, fat and pale, gorged on my suffering. The curandera caught them in a clay bowl, muttering invocations. She cut deeper, my chest, where Mama's love had curdled into something cold and vicious. The blade parted skin like whispered secrets, and I saw inside myself not organs, but rooms, closets I had been locked in, corners I had cowered in, a kitchen where she held my hand over the stove flame, teaching me what hell would feel like if I ever told anyone our family business. The moths erupted from each chamber, carrying pieces of me in their mandibles. I watched them extract whole memories, me at 8 years old, learning that screaming only makes it worse, me at 12, perfecting the lie that I fell down the stairs, me at 16, believing this was what mothers do, that every daughter carries her mother's rage like genetic inheritance. Good, the curandera breathed. Let them take it. Let them carry the weight. But there was a cost she hadn't mentioned. As the moths fed, as they extracted the trauma, they also took everything built around it. My ability to anticipate violence before it struck. My hypervigilance, which had kept me alive. My capacity to make myself small, invisible, safe. The moths didn't discriminate between wound and survival mechanism. They consumed it all. I began to fall apart, not metaphorically, actually, physically, cosmically apart. My fingers separated at the joints, bones sliding free like lovers losing interest. My ribcage unhinged, petals of a grotesque flower blooming open. The curandera worked quickly, catching each piece, laying them out on the altar in the shape of what I used to be. Don't be afraid, she said, though her voice came from very far away, from the other side of disintegration. This is what it costs. You cannot heal what you will not release. My skull cracked like an egg. Inside, where my brain should have been, there was only a nest. The mother moth sat there, bloated and ancient, surrounded by thousands of eggs. She turned her compound eyes toward me, toward the consciousness that somehow still existed despite having no brain to house it, and I understood. She was me, or I was her, the part that had learned to survive by consuming myself from the inside out, eating my own potential, my own future, my own dreams, anything to have something to offer the monster who called herself my mother. The curandera reached into my opened skull with both hands and lifted the mother moth out. It was massive, wings spanning 3 feet, pulsing with my stolen life. She carried it to a cage made of prayer beads and human hair, locked she said. We rebuilt you. V. She used threads spun from the hair of women who had survived. From the shelves of her shop, she brought jars, hundreds of them, each containing a single hair, each labeled with a name and date. Women who had been beaten, burned, broken. Women who had stitched themselves back together with shaking hands. The curandera wove their strength into my new seams. She replaced my broken bones with branches from the ahuhuit tree, which the Aztecs called Old Man of the Water, the tree that remembers everything and forgives nothing. She filled my chest cavity with copal resin and crushed marigolds, herbs that summon the dead but do not let them stay. Where my heart had been, the heart that learned to love its own suffering, that confused pain with intimacy, she placed a hummingbird's heart instead. Tiny, fierce, beating 400 times per minute. A heart that knows only how to move forward, never backward, that feeds on sweetness and cannot survive in captivity. My skin, she crafted from papel picado, delicate perforated paper, the kind they string across altars during Dia de Muertos. Fragile, yes, easily torn, but also beautiful and honest about its vulnerability. No more pretending to be stone when I was always paper. No more acting invincible when I had been shredded years ago. For eyes, she gave me obsidian mirrors, the same volcanic glass the Aztecs used for divination, for seeing truth. Now I would see myself clearly, not as Mama's victim, not as Mama's creation, but as something separate, something mine. As she worked, I felt myself coming back together, but different. Not healed healing implies a return to the original state, and I could never be the child I was before Mama broke me. Instead, I was being made into something new, a creature of scars and stitches, of borrowed strength and fierce fragility. The curandera stood back, examining her work. In her eyes, I saw something like pride, or perhaps recognition. Maybe she too had been remade once, had learned that survival sometimes requires becoming a different version of yourself entirely. Stand, she commanded. I stood on legs of ahuhuit wood, in skin of decorated paper, with a hummingbird heart hammering in my chest. I was grotesque and gorgeous, broken and remade, dead and impossibly alive. Vi, there is one more thing, the curandera said. She lifted the cage containing the mother moth, my extracted trauma, my internalized self-destruction. You must decide what to do with this. Inside the cage, the moth pulsed with malevolent life. It whispered in Mama's voice, "You are nothing without me. I made you. You belong to me. Look what happens when you try to leave. You fall apart. You become a monster. At least when I hurt you, you were still human. My first instinct was to destroy it, to burn it, crush it, obliterate every cell. But the curandera stopped me with a raised hand. If you destroy it, you destroy the proof that you survived. This moth is made of your suffering, yes, but also your endurance. It exists because you were strong enough to contain it, to carry it, to live despite it. That is not nothing. She handed me a small clay jar, painted with images of Itzpapalotl, the obsidian butterfly goddess, the skeletal warrior who devours the souls of the dead. Keep it here, not inside you anymore, but not destroyed either. Sometimes we must remember what we survived, not to stay wounded, but to know we are capable of survival. I took the jar, transferred the moth from cage to clay prison, sealed it with beeswax and prayers. The moth screamed inside, but the sound was distant now, containable, mine to control rather than controlling me. I left the curandera's shop as dawn broke over Oaxaca, painting the colonial buildings in shades of amber and blood. The city was waking, street vendors setting up their tila-yutas, and chocolate de agua, old women sweeping sidewalks with straw brooms, church bells calling the faithful to morning mass. I walked differently now. My tree branch bones creaked with each step. My paper skin rustled in the breeze. People stared, but I found I didn't care. Let them look. Let them see the truth of what it takes to survive. I passed a mirror in a shop window and saw myself clearly for the first time. I was a walking altar, a breathing day of the dead celebration. My obsidian eyes reflected the morning sun. My papel picado skin showed glimpses of what lay beneath not organs, but offerings, marigolds and copal smoke, memories transformed into something I could carry without being crushed. The hummingbird heart in my chest beat its impossible rhythm. Forward, always forward, feeding on sweetness, incapable of walking backward, of returning to what was. At a small chapel dedicated to the Virgin of Guadalupe, I stopped, lit a candle, not for Mama, she didn't deserve my prayers, but for the girl I had been, the one who believed her mother's love could be earned through perfect obedience, through accepting pain without complaint, through making herself small enough to fit into the spaces between Mama's rage. That girl was gone. The moths had taken her, and in her place stood this strange new creature, neither fully human nor entirely other. A liminal thing, existing in the space between broken and whole, between victim and survivor, between the life that was stolen and the life that could still be claimed. The first time someone touched me gently after my remaking, I shattered. It was at a mercado, a woman selling tamales. She handed me my order, and our fingers brushed such a small thing, barely contact at all, but her touch was kind, absent of violence, free of conditions. My papel picado skin tore. My tree branch bones splintered. I came apart right there in the market, pieces of me scattering like frightened birds. The woman screamed. People backed away, crossing themselves, murmuring about bruges and malditions. But I had learned something from the falling apart. I gathered my pieces. They were mine, after all. I pressed them back together, using spit and will and the residual copal smoke that that leaked from my chest. The seams showed. I was more obviously broken now, more visibly reconstructed. And I was beautiful, not despite the visible damage, but because of it. Because I wore my reconstruction openly. Because I refused to pretend I had never been broken. The cracks were filled with gold now, kintsugi, the Japanese called it. But Mexico had always known this truth. We are a nation built on ruins, thriving in the spaces where civilizations collapsed. We understand that what is broken and mended can be stronger, stranger, more honest than what was never damaged at all. The Tamilera helped me up. Her eyes were wet. "Midja," she whispered, "I understand." Of course she did. Every woman understands. We are all carrying our mother's violence in different ways, all learning to distinguish between what was done to us and who we actually are. IX. Years passed. I learned to live in this new body, this reconstructed self. The moths never fully left. Sometimes I would find them in my hair, small and quiet, no longer feeding, but simply present. Reminders. I returned to the curandera's shop on the anniversary of my unmaking. Found it dark, shuttered. A neighbor told me she had died peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her jars of survivors' hair and photographs of the missing. But when I pressed my papel picado hand against the shop's door, it swung open. Inside, everything was exactly as I remembered. The altar with its weeping saint, the obsidian blades, the leather roll of bone needles, and a woman waiting. Young, terrified, covered in fresh bruises that spelled out someone's name in purple and yellow. She looked at me with eyes I recognized, the eyes of someone who has forgotten how to imagine a life without pain. "The curandera," she began. "I know," I said. I understood now. This was how it worked. Those who had been unmade and remade became the unmakers, the remakers, the ones who held the obsidian blades and spoke the old words. I gestured to the altar. "Lie down." As she climbed onto the volcanic stone, I saw her moths, not visible yet, but soon. Soon they would come, drawn by the scent of trauma, ready to feast on everything she had survived. I picked up the obsidian blade, felt its weight, its hunger for truth. Outside, Oaxaca slept, dreaming its ancient dreams. Inside, a woman prepared to fall apart so she could learn to come together differently. "This is going to hurt," I told her, because honesty was the first gift the curandera had given me, and I would give it in turn. "I know," she whispered. "I'm already hurting." "Yes," I said, bringing the blade to her skin. "But this time, the pain will be for transformation, not destruction. This time, you get to choose what you become on the other side." I made the first cut. The moths began to emerge. Epilogue. They ask me sometimes, the ones who have been remade, what it cost to fall apart. I show them my papel picado skin, my tree branch bones, my hummingbird heart. I show them the jar where I keep my mother moth, still alive, still whispering. still mine to contain rather than be contained by. And I tell them the truth. It cost everything I was, and it gave me everything I could become. In Mexico, we understand that death and life are not opposites, but partners in an eternal dance. We understand that sometimes you must die to yourself, fall completely apart, become moths and memories and madness before you can live. The moths still come on certain nights, but now they come to pay respect, not to feed. They land on my shoulders like living medals, proof that I survived the war that was waged inside my own body. And when they fly away, I count them. 43. One for each bone she broke. But now I have 43 new bones. Stronger, different mine. That is what it cost to fall apart. And that is what I gained by learning how to come back together.